Hey guys, it's Frankie-Gruesim, and this is part 2 of my new clothing tutorial. This part is Blender, so you'll know in my old tutorial I usually work in Milkshake first. I don't do that anymore. So I'll just open Blender and I will import my sweatpants mesh that I made. And then I'm going to also import from object my card body. So yeah, these sweatpants don't look bad, but they also don't look good. Maybe there's parts I don't like this fold along here. So usually what I will do first is I will right click it and go to sculpt mode. So sculpt mode has a couple of cool things. Main things are, let me just make something clip. So, okay. Say you have a bit of clipping, usually it happens under the arms. The good thing is this sculpt draw setting. So I usually take the amount down a bit and symmetry, make sure they're all light gray so it's unlocked. And then I can just paint over it like this and it'll add to it, which usually is the easiest way to fix clipping issues. Also, say I import, because this pants fit over my tops, say top under, import one of my tops. This one doesn't clip, but if the top would clip, then I could also, here it clips a tiny bit here, I can just say add and fix that up a bit. So this one and grab works well. I'll show you smooth. So smooth like this weird fold here at the front. Again, strength goes down. I could go like this and it would smooth it out. You need to be careful that you don't hit seam lines, because I'll show you. I start smoothing seam lines. You can't see it because it's not doing it for once. It can split them open like that. So just be careful with working with smooth. If you really do need to use it, the only way you can do it is by selecting your entire mesh, pressing W, removing doubles. Then working with smooth, you'll see then it no longer splits it open. Maybe I want to smooth out the bottom of these leg parts. I don't know. But then I'd have to go back to edit mode and I would have to separate all the pieces out. So the easiest way to do this is to add the edge split modifier, untick edge angle and apply. And you'll see it separates the pieces out again. Just undo that modifier. Go to edit mode. You'll see if I press L over 1, it selects everything because everything's merged. And now if I apply this, edit mode, they're all separate again. You need to be careful if you do this with things that sew to themselves. So like if you have a sleeve, the left side will sew to the right side, then you need to edge split by pressing C, selecting the edge that you'll see if it's not properly edge split. If you select one edge, it'll select another edge at some other point. It doesn't do it with the pants. I can also, if I click the scroll button, the scroll on my mouse, I can also unselect parts. And then space edge split. I'm not going to do it because if you edge split too much, you're always going up with your vertex count. So it's never a good idea to edge split more than you need to. Make sure you literally only ever edge split once. None of this needs edge splitting because none of it's sewed to itself. So now I can go back to sculpting. So what I can also do in sculpt is what I really like, this grab button. I don't need to delete duplicates for this. So with this grab button, I can put symmetry on if I want to. And I can say I want to make these trousers like super puffy. And I can just grab and pull parts out. Make them super puffy if I want to do that. Or, I don't know what, give it a bit of a bigger butt. chance to fiddle around with it. Also, what I can fiddle around with is go to edit, and I'm just gonna straighten this top line of pants because pants don't usually look that wonky. Because I'm moving verts, oops, that wasn't what I wanted. I'm also making my textures a bit wonky because this texture, which is normal, is now getting condensed down because I'm moving the verts, but I'm not changing the UV. So let me just finish this up. There we go, pants are a bit straighter. I haven't joined this down yet because they're dungarees. They'll need those button-y things soon anyway. Right, so now what I can do is go to edit mode, press A. You'll see my UV here. Oops. A to unselect. I can say image, open image. Open the checkered map and go to texture. And you'll see, well, I can't see it very well, but this part is kind of squished. Maybe if I make it really big. Yeah, here you can see that this part is squished. The squares don't look square anymore. So what I can do here, which is really cool, is go to UVs, minimize stretch. And if I then scroll my scroll bar, you can see it moves. I'll do it again. UVs, minimize stretch. The scroll, you can see how up here it's going closer. It's kind of like undoing the stretching, which is really good, which means that your texture is no longer as wonky. Perfect. Let's go back to solid. Want to get rid of the pink texture on here, I'll just go here to this materials tab, press minus to delete my materials. Good. So yeah, again, spend most of my time in sculpt mode, just fiddling around with it a bit. And then I always minimize stretch when I'm done. So maybe I can smooth out some of these extreme wrinkles. Oops, I had symmetry lock on. Just a little bit, like that bent here, and maybe this a bit. Again, fiddle how you want. I don't like really extreme wrinkles because the textures usually look a bit dodgy. So yeah. If you end up splitting edges by doing this, you can go to edit mode, you can zoom in, and see there's a tiny little overlapping gap here, and what you can do is you can go to this snap button, change it to vertex, and I can press one vertex, press G, and let's go a bit closer, press G, move towards a new vertex, and you can see it snaps there, which is really helpful. It means I can just quickly snap all the vertices back together, and in that way fix any little gaps I have. Takes a bit of time and a bit of effort if you want to do it this way, but it means the texture will be smooth and you won't have any weird gaps. I'm not going to fix it all up here because at some point I just get bored. But yeah, also like weird bits like this, make sure you undo that again. I might just move myself a little bit. And again, at the end, I would go to UVs, minimize stretch, scroll my scroll bar a bit again, just to minimize it again. So yeah, dungarees. I'm going to do these dungarees with a button just because, to show you, So I'm just going to go to edit mode, and I'm going to put my snap again, and I'm going to snap these down so that they join up again. There we go. And again, for these two parts, oops, I'm going to go to UV's minimize stretch. Do that again. It'll just minimize the stretching here. So for buttons or for bows, what I usually do, let's just save this project, is I have some already done. So I can send people these if they want them. I think I might have uploaded them. I've got a button and I've also got my knot. So my knot looks like this. And you can just take the knot. If you shift click a couple of pieces, you can press join. Oops. Join. And scale down. Oops. I don't know what this is. Don't need that. Scale it down. Go to edit mode. I've still got this on, which is why it's snapping weirdly. And place it wherever you want it. You'll see, if I go, this part is grey. This means it's inside out. So I've got to go to edit mode. I've got to select that area with L. And I've got to say flip direction of my normals here. And it will also go white. It's white because there's a texture, so again, go to my texture and move it. This you'll need to probably decimate pretty much later. But these pants aren't supposed to have a bow. Same with the button. Import a button. Here it is. Then just right click the button, go to edit mode, scale it down, and position it around about where pants meet. And then I can press R, rotate it, just move it again. Oh, it needs to be around about here. I guess Shift D to duplicate it, put it on the other side, R to rotate again, double R for more freedom when rotating, and stick it where I want it. Again, you can see it's clipping through more, so I'm just going to rotate a little bit more. My button comes already UV mapped, which is pretty helpful. But yeah, fiddle around until you've got the buttons where you like them, or if you want to, you can mesh your own parts. Oops. Also, this button makes you be able to see all the vertipoints that are actually hidden here. And then if you press B, it's a lot easier to select a part if you don't like it. So yeah, pretty much fiddle around, make the shape the way I like it. So what I can do is just okay, let's just move these to the side. You can see still the same original mesh, just made it a bit fatter, a bit cooler, yeah, and edited it however I want it. So what I would mainly do now is I would import all the tops that I have for underneath and make sure it doesn't clip with any of them. And yeah, so this part is mainly just editing the mesh be the way you want it to be, because that's actually the main part. So I spend a lot more time in Blender now editing my meshes, smoothing out wrinkles. So I mean, when you're done and finished with editing the mesh, the next part would be to UV map. Even if your poly count is too high, so if I go to edit mode, you'll see here it says my vertice count, and the faces is your poly count. So this is really low poly. It's like 3.2k, 3.3k. What's actually more important is your vertice count, because this is the count that makes meshes explode when you morph them in game. So your vertice count, including the body that you put later, needs to be under 8,500 for it not to explode in game. Your poly count should be under, so your face count here should be under 10,000, but that has more to do with how well your computer can handle it. So I mean, I wouldn't go up to like 13,000 or something, but if it's 10.1, it's not gonna do much damage, especially if it's like a dress or something that's longer, covers the whole body. So yeah, once you're done with this, we are going to UV map. We don't decimate till later because we want a bake, nice high poly bake first. So we're going to go to the body underneath. We're going to go to edit mode. We're going to say image, new image, make it black. Now, we obviously have a lot of groups in here because I've still got the top in here and the buttons and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to untick the bake camera for all of them. I'm just going to retick it for my body and for my pants, which is the E2 group, so that it only bakes those two. Then I've got to go to the world tool and make sure ambient occlusion, environmental lighting, indirect lighting is ticked. I'll leave the samples at 5 because I don't need high definition bake here, and go to ambient occlusion 2, margin, and I'm just going to bake. Right, now that's baked, I can go back to my pants, go to edit mode, open that image, select everything with A, select S to scale, and scale it down. Now I've got this area to fill. What I also need to be aware of is that I don't go too high up into the top area. So I can press A, make sure everything's selected, and I can say image, open image, and open a UV layout map. So I like to convert my clothes between toddlers and adults, so I also like to open the adult male UV layout map. If I can find it. Nope. Clothing specular, AMUV. Well, I used to have it. Part mask? No. I wonder where that went. Oh, this is the female one, but yeah. So if you want to convert it between ages, just make sure that you are looking at for all the ages. But yeah, let's stay with the toddler one. So first I'll go to my untitled, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it, scale it so that this perfectly fits in the black area. So UV mapping, important part. You need to stay within the black area or this checkered black-grey area. So obviously if I put a part over the arms, then the texture will be painted onto the arms and that'll look stupid as hell. So don't do that. Also be careful of like this, which is more of a grey area. Grey area are areas where the mesh kind of goes a bit further from the body. And if you put texture in there, then you might be able to see it later. So everything that's solid black or this checkered works. Obviously, I also need to stay in the green area, which is for pants. So I'm just going to move these over here, and this, and also these parts, because these are in shoes at the moment, and that is not where I want them. As for scaling, I usually try and make sure that I keep everything at the same scale. The only thing that I will make bigger is, for example, buttons. So if we go to my button mesh, you'll see if you look at the UV, it's gone one big circle, one small circle. The big circle is the front of the button, the small circle is the back of the button. The back of the button you're never going to see because it's facing the close, so it doesn't need much texture or high quality texture. The front of the button is the bit you'll see, so it's bigger. So I like to make my buttons pretty big. I'm actually not going to use buttons on these pants, so I'll just ignore that. But yeah, fill up the UV space as best as you can, stay in the black and stay in the area. So for tops, you can fill up this red bit, for shoes, this yellow bit, and for pants, this green bit. If you're making a full body outfit, you can fill up the green and the red, like a dress. Again, make sure you're staying in black areas, especially for dresses. Be careful that you don't go into grey, because otherwise when you look from underneath, you'll see all the textures on the legs. If you're making something like a toddler onesie that has a footie on it, your mesh also covers the foot area, so you can use the shoes area too, which is pretty useful. So when we're done with UV mapping, I'm going to end this here for the next part. But yeah, here you go, mesh edited, tiny bit of clipping here you can see, and here I don't worry about that because I'm deleting the legs underneath the mesh later anyway. Only clipping in like the edge areas is important, but for that you can use your sculpt tool to fix it. So yeah, that is how to edit your mesh first of all, and how to UV map properly.